Following the release of his first album, Peter Nick is bursting out onto the music scene. With a background in classical, blues and jazz, he's found his own sound, allowing him to reveal his true identity. Peter joins us now. Peter, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How you going?
I am pretty well. There was a lot of genres that we just dropped there, classical, blues and jazz.
It's pretty universal.
How do you find the Peter Nick sound in all of that?
It's sort of stemmed off a lot of, I would say, from the late 90s to the early 2000s. I'm a huge John Mayer fan. David Ryan Harris, Jamie Cullum, a lot of the earlier 2000s music, which is evident of jazz and blues and pop sort of genres as well.
It's obviously the stuff you grew up with, being, of course, only a kid, a rapscallion.
Yeah, not always stuff that was on the radio, though, but it was stuff that was, like, available and playing in CD stores.
A lot of people, like John Mayer, often had those big singles that everyone knew the words to, that the commercial stations were playing incessantly. But then you go into the depth of the albums, and there's some really interesting other stuff that they're doing. They've got all of those other influences, especially the R&B and the blues influences that come through on those possibly not commercial radio friendly tracks.
Yeah, well, it's changed a lot. The industry has changed, but there is still such a wide audience, especially globally. There's such a wide audience for that kind of music, and I just so happen to be one of the fans in the audience for that music as well. So it's still alive, I believe.
You have been training at the Conservatorium just across the road for the last few years with the jazz portion of that. So what's it like there? Are there similar people with similar interests to you, or do they all want to end up in the ASO?
I'm not so sure about just the ASO. It's actually quite a variety. There are a lot of people that want to be in education and teaching, but there's also quite a few people that like to be real, heavily trained jazz musicians as well, and go to New York and the West Coast and basically just travel and be the best player they can be. However, it is changing every year.
That's right. So, I mean, you've only been there for a few years, and you're already seeing those shifts.
Yeah, a big shift. I first went there in the end of 2009, just for an audition, and there were so many different bands and different types of music, and just people in general. And now it has changed a lot. The education cuts has affected it a fair amount as well.
You are only 21, but have already got one album in the bag. What was it like putting this first album together?
It was, how much time you got? It was, I have to say, it was a really, really good experience. Long story short, I changed my bedroom into a home studio.
Wow.
And I slept on a couch that was smaller than I am for about over 6 months, just so that I could fit this studio into my bedroom. Kindly enough, my mum gave in after she'd heard a few tracks and said, you know what, you can have my study, put your bed in there, whatever you want.
That was very generous of her.
It was very generous of her. But yeah, it was something that I had to learn how to produce, to write, what sounded good, who do I get playing on there,
If you're performing things like just a show, everything comes out at the same time. You're not laying down tracks individually. You're not laying down the drum this day and the guitar another day. What was it like having to basically be a self-taught producer of music?
It kind of came about naturally from being around so many great musicians, from the con and my mentors as well. I was used to just critiquing things and I have like a musical library in my head that I somehow reference everything to. So I'll go, hey, this kind of sounds great. Yeah, but this track sounds really good in my head as well. Oh, that sounds like this track. So I feel like I've always been producing everything that comes out of my mouth or my hands,
Now, obviously, your mum's probably the better person to answer this, but soundproofing. How did you manage to soundproof your bedroom?
Didn't happen. Well, we deadened a little bit, so it wasn't so reverby and echoey. But long story short, again, pretty much all of the blankets in the house are now up in that room on the walls. There's about 6 or 7 of them, and they're just from everything from like screws and nails. That are hanging them up, because you can't use blue tack or you have to put something in the wall.
It's not a child's fort. It's actually I wish it was slightly above there, possibly.
Yeah, but that it works, and it took me a while to do it, but whatever I had to do is whatever I had to do. So
The album has a whole bunch of complexities, but we're going to have it stripped back first. What acoustic track are we about to hear from you?
I'm going to play Forgive the Silence, which is the second track on the album.
We're joined by Peter Nick and about to hear Forgive the Silence. Peter, take it away.
Darling, don't fight the feeling. Maybe not what you thought it would be. 'Cause last time I checked you were falling. It used to be so quiet in here. Outside the cars are all moving. The shadows making movies on the wall. This house here is nothing but gloomy. Still static plays the sound in my head. So can you forgive the silence for not being there when you need it? Will you forgive the silence for not being there when you need it? How I wish I could leave this place and go somewhere new. But no one's going nowhere like this when the static keeps on coming through. It's too hot, but I'm freezing inside. It's getting harder to look through these eyes. When nothing else is real, the truth still lies exactly where you left it in the heart. So can you forgive the silence for not being there when you need it? Will you forgive the silence when the noise in your head is repeating? It's taking me over and over, oh, and it's over, yay. Can you forgive the silence for not being there when you need it? Will you forgive the silence when the noise in your head is repeated? Will you forgive the silence for not being there when you need it? Will you forgive the silence for not being there?
Peter Nick live in the Radio Adelaide studios with Forgive the Silence there, and the album is called Here We Be. We're going to hear another taste from it very, very soon. You've also been busy putting together a music video. What was the process for this? Where did you film?
This was done over 2 weekends. Well, I should say 2 days, because it was on 2 Saturdays. And I teamed up with he's a local filmmaker, Lee Gilleyes, he goes by, and he's currently studying at Flinders. But I got to know him through my brother, who was studying film as well at Flinders. And I just said to him, I just want a really sort of straightforward film clip, not in terms of budget, even though that was a factor, but I wanted something that was sort of straightforward, because that's how I felt that the title track Here We Be was. It was supposed to be something that was emotionally heavy, a bit of a kick in the chest, and we filmed at what's called undercranking, I think, where you film at 1.5 times the speed and you slow it down so it looks like it's in real time.
Right. So did you have to play faster or slower?
I had to sing faster, so I was singing as we're filming, and it was like, help me, here we, dun, 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 dun. You know, it had to be a lot faster than the actual track. And then when it was slowed down, it looked like it was really heavy and emotional. It was kind of like the if you've ever seen it, the Coldplay Yellow film.
Yeah, and so you didn't have to. They didn't make it then backwards, did they?
No, no. But,
that could have just caused more problems.
No, it probably would. To be honest, it was fairly straightforward, but I ended up doing all of the film editing for it as well, and it was a good thing because it's just like producing your own music, producing your own film clip. You really get a sense of things that happen by accident. So you get, oh, whoops, I did a cut here. Hey, that looks really cool.
Yeah,
So it was a very straightforward film clip. I edited it myself, and we had some people commenting, thinking that I was like some celebrity,
right?
When I was in the city as well. So
you were filming it through the city, or where?
The city. So we filmed it around the new Victoria Square.
Oh, right, very cool.
And Chinatown, and just that sort of area.
A little bit of a tour of Adelaide as well for people who might not know it as well if they want to listen to the video and watch it.
Yeah, definitely check out the music video.
Very cool. Now, you've still got to graduate from the con at the end of this year. Mm-hmm. You've got one album in the bag. What's next? What's the next plan for you?
The next plan is I'm considering a single before another album, obviously a lot later on than this.
Yeah.
And just a single just to say, hey, I'm still here. I'm looking at a variety of acoustic sessions in different venues and different places. So just to keep the ball rolling, really. But it's been really cool because just the fact that we live in Adelaide, and there's a lot of people that know each other as well. You can kind of use a bit of teamwork, and you can get things done.
Well, Peter, we're going to hear another track from you. Can you tell us a little bit about Now You're Playing With My Heartbeat before we let you go? This
is a song that it's if you know the song like The End of a Love Affair, or like those old school jazz songs, this is like a new R&B pop version of a similar meaning of basically the end of a relationship and the outcomes of it.
Well, the album is called Here We Be. Peter, thank you for joining us this morning.
Cool, thank you.
Peter, Nick, and this one is Now You're Playing With My Heartbeat.
Seems you got this every day now.